This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Okay, so let's go through and talk about something that crops up nearly all the time within an exam question somewhere when you're talking about group accounts. And it's all about fair value adjustments. So going back, if you like, and thinking about IFRS 3, we don't get involved in the nitty-gritty detail of what IFRS 3 is all about. We can save that until strategic business reporting. But what IFRS 3 does is it talks about business combinations, of which the acquisition of a subsidiary by the parent is a business combination. And the standard states that when we consolidate those assets and liabilities, when we bring them into the group accounts, we need to reflect them in the group accounts only at fair value. We need to report the fair value of the assets and the liabilities, which will be different to the book value or their carrying value within the subsidiary's accounts. Why do we need to reflect fair value? Well, effectively to reflect the fact that the amount that we have paid to acquire that subsidiary is at fair value. And the reason why we've paid that fair value is because we have assessed the value of the assets and liabilities, not by looking at the value of the accounts, but looking at what we see physically of the value of the PPE, the inventory, and other assets and maybe other liabilities that are contained within that entity. Okay, so we need to look at the fair value when we consolidate them. So if we're going to do the fair value, you'll be given the fair value within the exam. Okay, you'll be told what the fair value is. You never have to calculate it. So you're told what the fair value is. You'll be told what the carrying value is. And the difference is the fair value adjustment. That fair value could be higher, it could be lower than the carrying value, and you would need to make the adjustments accordingly. Where do we go through there and make the adjustments? Well, the key bit is that we're adjusting S's net assets. Okay. So the first thing that we go through and do is we adjust the net assets at the statement of financial position date and at the acquisition date column. Okay, so that there is with what I would say your fair value adjustment, the difference between the carrying value and the fair value. That is what you process at the acquisition date. That's what you put in the SFP date as well. Okay. They are the same figures unless you're specifically told within the question that they are different. If they are different, then the adjustment goes through profits and your retained earnings. But most of the time, particularly with PP, it's the same. Okay. You also need to make another adjustment, and you just need to be a bit careful here because there is a typo within the notes. I will update it eventually. You also need to adjust the statement of financial position column, so the reporting date column, for the fact that because we've increased the fair value of this asset in the group accounts, there may be some extra depreciation that we need to account for because we don't change the fair value in the individual accounts of the subsidiary. So the subsidiary will just depreciate the PPE based upon its original cost. We need to depreciate that additional fair value adjustment over the remaining life of the assets. Okay, so there may be additional extra depreciation. And then, rare to see fair value in inventory. It's much more common to see fair value in PPE. But if you have a fair value adjustment on your inventory, just be aware that may change because whatever the inventory was at the acquisition date, there might now be no inventory at the reporting date because it's all gone and it's all been sold. Okay, so just adjust for any sale of inventory through that SFP column. Okay, so that's the theory, that's the background that you need to understand. And the key bit is that you've got the numbers in S's account. We need the fair value in the group account, so we need to make the adjustment from what's in S to what needs to be reported within the group accounts. The adjustments for now just are going to appear in working 2. So what have we got? Let's just look at an illustration. Then we've got another one to follow. And the first one is on property, plant and equipment, PPE. This is the most common one. So it says a parent acquires a subsidiary at the start of the reporting period. So that's important. Okay, so we've got a full year worth of operating the subsidiary. And we're told that the fair value of PPE is $50,000 higher than its book value. So the first thing that we need to do is that 50,000 increase in value of the asset to take it from its carrying value in S's books to the fair value that's going to be reported in the group accounts. Goes there. Okay. You put that in at the date of acquisition, and unless you're told otherwise, that's the same at the reporting date. Okay. So I'll put in 50 at acquisition and 50 at the reporting date. Again, we're assuming there that everything is in round thousands. The key bit now, and this is where students tend to find is a challenge, is that you're told that the remaining life is 10 years. So the subsidiary will have been depreciating the asset based on its historic cost. So it is charging depreciation through its accounts, but it won't be charging depreciation on that fair value uplift of $50,000. Well, if we've uplifted the asset by $50,000, we need to charge depreciation on that additional $50,000, don't we? So the second step is to put in the extra depreciation, and that extra depreciation is the 50 over the 10 years. So that's 5,000 per annum. Here we can put in the full 5,000. Why? Because it all took place at the start of the reporting period. So there's been 1 year's worth of depreciation. If it was a mid-year acquisition, we would have to prorate that depreciation. If the acquisition took place several years ago, this is the SFP that we're focusing on, and the depreciation is cumulative. So if there'd been 2 years since the date of acquisition, we would need 2 years worth of additional depreciation, and that would be 10. But here, we've just got 1 year. That 1 year is worth 5, and be careful, it is a reduction to the net assets, isn't it? So you've added in 50, you now deduct the 5. Okay. So that's what we do in working 2. Just be careful. We also need to go through there, and this is vitally important if you want your SFP to balance, is that you also need to go through there and adjust the property, plant and equipment. Because what you've got there is 100% of S is at the book value, isn't it? It's not at fair value. We need to get it up to fair value, so therefore we need to add in the 50 fair value adjustment and reduce it by the number of years worth of depreciation. Here, there's only been 1 year, so therefore it's just 5. As I said before, if it was 2 years, it would be 10. Okay. If it was 6 years, to link into the fact that Liverpool have won the Champions League 6 times, that would be 6 stocks of 5, which is 30. Okay. There we go. Everybody happy with that? Excellent. So what we've then got, another fair value adjustment, not as common as your property, plant and equipment, but more common than inventory. Is to go through there and look at your contingent liabilities, because this really does play with everybody's head. Because you know the rules for contingent liabilities in IS 37. If you've got a contingent liability, where does it appear within the financial statements? Does it appear on the face of the financial statements? No. Provisions are recorded within the statement of financial position, aren't they? A contingent liability is not a provision. So where does the contingent liability appear? Yes, it's in the notes of the account, isn't it? Okay. But we've paid to acquire this subsidiary based upon what we believe the fair value is. And that fair value that we are paying will incorporate what we see within the accounts. And if we see a contingent liability, a bit like, ooh, a little bit of risk here, isn't there? You know, what happens if the contingent liability comes to fruition? Okay, yeah, the reason why it's a contingent liability is that it's possible. It's not probable. Or maybe we couldn't measure the amount reliably. So it's just being hidden away within S's accounts at the back of the notes. but we've seen it. And we've acquired that subsidiary. We've gone, hang on a minute, I'm going to pay a little bit less to acquire this subsidiary, just in case I then acquire the sub and then have to pay that contingent liability. So what we need to do is, in the individual accounts of the subsidiary, that contingent liability stays disclosed within the notes. But in the group accounts, what happens is that it is recorded at fair value. It's recorded at fair value in the group accounts. The group accounts only. You don't make any adjustments in the subsidiaries accounts. You don't go back and say, look, we think this contingent liability, it might arise. It's still possible, but I'm buying you, so record it. No, it stays contingent. It's in the group accounts that we record it. Okay. So what you see, again, you need to record it in the net assets. So we know that it was 100,000. We'll assume that that is the fair value. So you would record it at fair value. Here, it's 100,000 at acquisition. We're not told anything about it changing, so we keep it at 100,000 at the reporting date. Okay. And again, it's a liability, so we put it in brackets to reduce the net assets. We've reduced the amount that we paid, so therefore we reduce the value of the net assets. That 100,000 that is there at the reporting date, to make everything balance, it then needs to be reflected within the group statement of financial position as well. Okay, so you have within your contingent liabilities, it looks a bit strange to see a contingent liability on the face of a set of accounts, but remember that this is the group accounts and we are recording the assets, the liabilities at fair value. Here the fair value is 100 because that's what's being disclosed in the notes. It could very well be that we think the fair value is maybe a little bit less. Okay, could be a little bit more, we just don't know. Okay. You don't need to worry about that. You'll be given the fair value of that contingent liability within the question. You go with the fair value, and if it changes, you adjust it accordingly at the reporting date. There we go. So fair values for contingent liabilities look a little bit strange because you account for it in the individual account under IAS 37, but within the group account, it's all accounted for under IFRS 3, whereby you bring in the assets and liabilities at fair value. So make sure you're happy with that one there on contingent liabilities. Make sure as well that you're happy on that one with regards to property, plant and equipment, because as I said, they are a regularly examinable area. And if that's the case, you want to be on the money with them. You want to be sharp so that you can go through there and crunch those numbers as quickly and as correctly as possible.